Welcome to today's video. So if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll probably know by now that I mainly read romance and thriller books. They're usually the genres that I gravitate towards and they're just the genres that I enjoy the most, but not today. Today I thought I'd switch it up a bit and read my first fantasy. Now, the fantasy genre is always a genre that has intrigued me, but it's just so intimidating, so I've just never really taken the leap into getting into fantasy. But that's what this vlog is for. I'm going to read my first fantasy in this vlog. I thought it would be nice to bring you guys along with me on the journey, and also if you're like me and you're not really into fantasy but you kind of want to be, or you're interested to see what it's like, I thought it would be nice to bring you guys along with me and give you my first impressions and just my thoughts throughout reading it, and basically just how I'm finding it in general. So for my first fantasy, so I have a few fantasies on my TBR. There's two that are really standing out to me at the minute, and they're just the ones that I'm most excited to read as well, and they are Shatter Me, which I have heard such mixed things about, but that's okay because I'm interested to see what I think of this, and Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which I've heard nothing but good things about this one, and that just makes me really excited and I'm really intrigued. I believe that these are both romanticises, so they have romance and fantasy in, which I think is a good place to start for me because it's not such a jump into like a completely new world and like a lot of world building and stuff, because I think I'd feel really overwhelmed with that. I feel like the one that I'm gravitating more towards is Powerless, just because of the amount of good things that I've heard about it, and I just have a really good feeling that I'm gonna love this book. So I think I'm gonna start with that one. Why am I nervous? Why am I scared? Oh my god. I'm going to start this one at some point today, and I will just bring you guys along with me, give you my thoughts, give you my first impressions and all that. I'm excited, but I'm also scared. Why am I scared? I don't know. It's got a map. Are you kidding? I love a map. I love a map. I've just finished the first chapter. First impressions, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really excited to get into this world properly. First couple of pages I did feel were wordier than I'm used to, but I feel like after the first chapter I'm kind of used to that now. So it didn't take much to get used to, but my first impression was like, oh my god, this is so much to take in, especially because there's a lot of new concepts in this as well that you just kind of have to accept for what they are, if that makes sense. Good morning. So I just wanted to do a little update with how I'm finding Powerless. I'm about 114 pages in. I just wanted to talk a bit about my first impressions and stuff going into this. So the very first chapter I found to be quite wordy, and it took me a couple of chapters to kind of get used to the way it was written, because in that first chapter there's a lot of words and concepts that are part of that world. So when you're first reading it you kind of feel like you have no idea what's going on and like you don't understand anything that they're saying, but it really quickly starts to become clear about what everything is and you just really pick up on it quickly. So just a small example of this, just so you guys can understand what I mean, is literally on one of the first lines it says, despite being a flash, he apparently couldn't manage to move faster than my right hook to his jaw. So when it says despite being a flash, when I first read that I was like, I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what that means. But at this point you don't know that anybody's got powers, and you don't know that there's loads of different types of powers and that Flash is one of them, and then that's a speed power. So like you don't know that straight away, and like I felt kind of lost in that first chapter just because I didn't know what was going on really. It puts you straight in the action, which is good because it's fast paced and it makes you want to keep reading, but it also can be kind of confusing because you're also straight into this new world that you don't know anything about. But I found that once I'd read chapter 1 and chapter 2, which is one from her point of view and one from his point of view, I kind of just really got the hang of it, and I'd kind of learned what I needed to learn in those two chapters, and everything else, even if it was new information, kind of just fitted in and I understood it a lot quicker. I would say that the first kind of 50 pages were where my brain felt like it was working a bit more, And then from then on, I was fully in the story and I was just reading and I wasn't thinking about it too much, if that makes sense. I just thought that might be helpful to know for anybody that's not a fantasy reader like me and is starting the first fantasy or starting this book and find that it's a bit confusing at the start. You are not alone, but you definitely get used to it. For me, it was around the 50-page mark where I was like not thinking about it at all and just reading. I'm really enjoying it so far. It really reminds me of kind of Divergent mixed with Hunger Games vibe. It's like a mix between the two. So for those that don't know anything about this, because I didn't know anything about this going in, I'll explain a bit about what's happened so far, a bit about what it's about. But of course, I'm not going to spoil anything for you. So basically, decades ago, there was a big plague and only the strongest survived, and they basically adapted powers. All the kind of weakest people didn't get any powers and they're just ordinaries. And the king kind of said that the ordinaries were making the elites, the elites are people that have powers, were making them weak and carrying disease that made them weak, so he banished all the ordinaries from his kingdom. And basically she's an ordinary. She doesn't have a power, but she pretends that she has a psychic power. I think it's every 6 years they have purging trials where they basically fight each other, and she somehow ends up being chosen to fight in this purging trials, but no one can find out that she's ordinary and that she doesn't have a power. It's really interesting. I love how many powers there are and how there's just so many different ones, some way better than others, and that's just really fun to read about. And I'm so excited for the trials. I just want to get to the trials now. Like, I'm so excited. The bit where I'm at right now, they're training for them, but I'm just like so ready. I'm just so ready for the trials. Like, I'm so excited to read that bit. And I also think that's when it's going to really kick off and where I'm like not going to be able to put the book down. I just have a feeling. That's my little update for now, and I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. Update time. So it is a completely different day, but it's actually 2 days later. So I didn't actually film anything yesterday, but I did read quite a bit, and I'm now 210 pages in, so quite a chunk. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I can't remember whether I said this before, but I was so excited to get into the trials and like start the trial part of it, because I just thought that that was the part where I'd be really, really into it. And we've only just reached the trials. I read one chapter and it was on the first trial. So I'm now like, I can't wait to get back to it. I love the concept of it. I think I said this before, but it really reminds me of Divergent mixed with Hunger Games vibe. Like how Divergent had the different factions. That kind of reminds me of the different powers and the different groups that they have. And also the fact that they have ordinaries and then like mundane powers and elites. That really reminds me of the Divergent factions, and that's the part that I absolutely love of this. I love Payden and Kai's banter. It's so good. It's literally the type of banter that I'm like smiling, like I'm giggling when I'm reading this. And I just think those two as individual characters are so likeable by themselves, and then you just love them together as well, which I think makes really strong characters, and like you just really want to root for them individually, but also you want them to be together as well. It's definitely... My brother's ringing me. Hello.
Hello.
I can't even remember what I was saying now. It's one of those books where there's so many good lines and so many good moments that I just really want to annotate it. Usually I either highlight or sometimes I underline them. Usually I do go for a highlight, but I think I'm going to go for one of these coloured pens because I found these the other day and how cute. And I'm thinking, based on the colour of the book, I'm thinking of going for either green or purple. But I don't know. As I've been reading, because I was so into it last night, as I've been reading, I've just been noting down page numbers of the quotes I want to go back and underline. So I'm going to sit and do that now, and I'm going to read a bit. I really don't know. I think I might go for the purple. Do we think? I can't decide. Why am I so indecisive about everything? I think my gut's saying purple, so we're going to go for purple. And I'm actually waiting for my video that's going up tomorrow. It will already be up by now by the time you're watching this. It's a reading vlog and it's where I read thrillers for a week. And that's currently exporting on my laptop. So I'm just going to sit and read while I wait for that to do its thing. I'm so looking forward to getting back into this book because, like I said, we've just started the trials and I'm so excited. So excited. What I will also say as well is that I was so intimidated about starting this, and it's actually not intimidating at all. Once I got past the first 2 or 3 chapters, I was like fully in the story. And I know I keep saying this, but if you've read either Hunger Games or Divergent, I read Divergent, and it's pretty on par with that in terms of like language and world building and all that. And to me, like, those weren't intimidating books when I started them. It was years ago, but I wouldn't find them intimidating to reread. So this is your sign. If you want to get into fantasy at all, this would be a good one to start with, I think. I'm finding it to be a really good one to kind of introduce me to the fantasy world. It says my name. She is a servant, but it's my name. How many trials there actually are, because I'm on page 322 and there's only been 1 trial so far. I know that like majority of this was kind of introducing all. There's only been 1 trial. So a little update time. First of all, I love Payden and Kai. I love them. And I think those 2 as characters really make this book the way that it is. They're just so lovable individually and together. And like their banter is just everything. It's everything. So I have about 150 pages left. I think I'll either finish it today or tomorrow. We've only had 1 trial so far, and that's how much I've read, which I was kind of expecting more trials. Now I know that that could change because I still have a little bit left, so I am hoping for a couple more trials because I think that's the thing that I really look forward to, and I'm really like wanting to see what they're going to be and how she's kind of going to deal in that situation. And there's something that happens in the first trial that I just kind of thought, don't know how I feel about that, because it was just quite convenient. Basically had a problem and the way that it was solved was just very convenient, and it kind of made me think, there's only a couple things like that that I just kind of choose to overlook because I am really enjoying it and I like the whole story, I like the plot, I like the characters. There's just a couple things that I've thought I probably would have done it differently, or she could have gone down this route instead. But they're minor things, and I'm really interested to see what happens in the bit that I've got left. I also think how a book ends can really just make it. And I'm kind of nervous because I really want the ending to just kind of really surprise me. I just want to have that moment of like, oh my god, this is so good. And the ending is just like, but we'll see. I am really enjoying it, and I already know that it's going to be a high rated book for definite. I'm about to start reading in a minute, but I just had a quick phone break. And I just wanted to say, you guys are literally amazing. Like, I just feel so, so grateful to have this little book community that we've got. And I just love the fact that you guys talk to me about books and you share the same excitement that I share. And whether it's a comment or you DM me, I just absolutely love chatting to you guys about books that we've read, book recommendations, like your favourite books, my favourite books. I just honestly feel so, so, so grateful. And I don't know, it just makes my heart feel really warm. Because I honestly feel like we're just all best friends and I love it. And I just wanted to say a massive thank you to every single one of you. I just feel very grateful and I love our little book community that we've got going. I love them. I love them. I've got chills. I literally just got goosebumps. I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't know why I low-key feel like crying. What on earth? Everything's a mess. It's literally 3:40 a.m. and that is too late for me to be dealing with these emotions. Why do I do this to myself? Why have I stayed up this late? I was not mentally prepared to deal with that. I should have just left it. I should have just left it and dealt with it tomorrow. But no. No. I want book 2 now. Oh my goodness. So I finished reading this a couple of days ago now. We've had a bit of a break. I don't know what happened to me, but when I finished reading this, I honestly just felt a type of way. And I had to take a day off from reading. I had to just collect myself, collect my thoughts. That's how you know it's a good book. I just feel like this is going to be one that literally has a chokehold on me. Just saying. When I said a few days ago, I'm kind of nervous about the ending because I feel like the ending can really make a book as amazing as it is. And all my like 6-star reads, they all have something in the ending that I just didn't see coming, or an ending that really just made me feel something. And boy, was I not ready. Was I not ready for the ending of this. So there was a couple of things that happened, and one of them I actually saw a spoiler for it, which I was so gutted about because I think if I'd read that without knowing, I just think it would have hit different. And I was kind of gutted because I thought I'd kind of missed the shock moment. But I was wrong. I was wrong. I'm so ready for the second one. I can't even wait that long. I'm so ready. And Lauren Roberts has just announced that there's a novella as well, which I feel like is gonna break my heart. It's gonna break my heart. But I'm just so looking forward to it. I love Kai and Payden together. I know I keep saying this, but they're just amazing characters. They're just amazing. They both just feel real, and they're both just so thought out individually, but then just the way they are together and just their banter and like this whole enemy thing I am obsessed with. I love it. I love how Lauren Roberts has done that. I think it's done so well. Also the tension in this book. Can we just talk about that for a minute? Because how am I so hooked? How am I so hooked? I've had a couple of days to recover and I'm still not over it. So my rating for this book, this is a 6-star read, which I feel like is crazy for me to say because I feel like I haven't had a 6-star read in the longest time, and just to get that feeling back of like I've just read a 6-star read, it's just such a nice feeling. And it's the first 6-star read of 2024, which is so exciting. I just know that these characters are going to be staying with me. I've already been thinking about them non-stop, and it's just one of those books that I first of all literally had to have a break from reading, which is so unlike me. Second of all, I had no idea where to even go from there. Like I had no idea what I wanted to read next. I couldn't imagine reading anything that wasn't this, which is just crazy. So in terms of how I found it as a non-fantasy reader, it's so readable. It's definitely romance heavy, so I'd say it was a really good one to kind of introduce you into the fantasy world. And it's a young adult fantasy as well, so I just think that's a great place to start because there's not a lot of world building. All the concepts are so fun, but they're so easy to understand. And like I said, the characters are just... I'm so glad I started annotating this because some of the quotes in here, I'm just obsessed. I'm obsessed. And it's one of those where I can tell it just hit different because I was literally making mood boards on Pinterest. I was looking up Spotify powerless playlists, and that's been my past 2 days because I'm just not ready to let go of this world, to let go of these characters for the time being. I know that there's a novella and a second one coming out, but I'm just not ready to move on from this. I'm not ready. Yeah, I definitely recommend this, and especially if you're a non-fantasy reader like me and you want to get into fantasy, this is such a good one to start with. And it's also made me excited to read the other ones that are on my TBR as well, and it's just made them seem a lot less intimidating, which is nice. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for coming along with the start of my fantasy era. I love that so many of you guys as well are in the same boat as me and don't typically read fantasy but want to get into it. I just love that because I feel like we're on this little journey together. And yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in my next video.